G'day, welcome back to the channel. I had to do a video about this because I cannot believe the fake news, the crappy standards of journalism that prevail around the world at the moment, especially when it comes to subjects like drones. I mean, we all know about the Gatwick incident, which is just utter bullshit from start to finish, but it still keeps appearing in the media that there were drones at Gatwick, although there has never been one shred, 1 ounce of proof, and even the police themselves admit that, well, there may not have been drones at all. Doesn't stop the news media from producing more fake news stories, and this is one that I saw today which really got me quite cross. Weaponized drones are likely coming to the US. Yes, really? And let me just play a little bit of the video. First of all, this is by Sasha. Let me see if I can find the byline. Where is it? Oh, goodness me. Obviously didn't... there we go. Sasha Ingber? Sasha Ingber, who I suppose considers herself to be a journalist. I would not apportion that title to her, however, because this is a load of dross. For example, it starts off, the Federal Aviation Administration says it's receiving more than 100 reports of drone sightings every month. Well, is that unusual in a country where there's over 1 million drones? I don't think so. Seeing a drone does not necessarily represent a threat. I mean, we see all sorts of things every day, and we don't consider them to be threats. And if we look at the history, if we look at the evidence, drones are not being used in an offensive capacity in the USA. But this article sets out to say it's only a matter of time before drones are used as a weapon. It's because the second paragraph, today, technically anyone could have their own air force with drones. And that's becoming a serious problem to security experts. Really? Seriously? What about guns? They are an even bigger problem to security experts. We've seen countless lives lost to the misuse, I'm not saying the use, but the misuse of guns in the USA and countries all around the world. But no, drones. Drones are what we have to worry about, apparently. And then they go on, and this is a perfect example, right? Now, a few weeks ago, there was an attempt on last Sunday, 3 drones armed with explosives were used in a failed assassination plot on Iraq's prime minister. Keyword in this thing is failed, because drones are just not the best tool for the job. We've seen many times over. Was it in Bolivia or somewhere in South America? They tried to use a drone to assassinate a political figure. Failed. And here, again, tried to use a drone. Failed. It's not a good tool for that job. It just doesn't work. It can't carry much. And as we've seen, they're just not particularly effective. So why the hysteria over something that has proven to be pretty ineffective, not very good at doing what people claim it's going to do? And they also cloud the issue because they start talking about military drones and the use of drones by terrorist groups in the Middle East, which has nothing to do with domestic US environment. You know, your Mavic Pro is not the same as one of these drones designed for military use. It's completely different. It shares a name, but that's where it stops. But the media, they're bunching them all in together here. And look, Franzman says Iran often uses kamikaze drones for one-way suicide missions. If there's nobody in the drone, it's not suicide. No one's giving up their life. It's a cruise missile. It's just a missile. It's a type of missile. It's not even a drone. It's a missile because no one calls the Tomahawk cruise missile a drone, do they? So why are we clouding the issue? The media are doing it for sensationalist articles, for clickbait. It is just unacceptable, totally unacceptable. And here we go. For now, they're mostly a threat in the Middle East, but some people, like the CIA's former chief of counterterrorism, Bernard Hudson, say weaponized drones on their way to the United States. I think he should be weaponized drones are on their way to the United States. Again, this doesn't even scan properly. Sasha, what a piece of drivel you have written here. I have to say, absolutely ridiculous. But it gets worse. It gets worse. I'll just play this little piece here, and we'll just listen to this.
In a country like ours, which is sort of increasingly riven by political division, it will not be surprising if you're going to see people who at least consider, if not use, these cheap and readily available systems to carry out their own domestic violence.
Okay, so he's saying, well, someone will be using these cheap and readily available drones to carry out this sort of thing. They may try. It may happen. I can't discount that. But let's just take a little bit of a look at history, because I'm quite an authority in this. I can speak with some authority because if you look back here in 2002, I wrote this article here, The Low-Cost Cruise Missile, in which I went through and said, basically, you can buy all the bits. And this is 20 years ago. You can buy the bits to build your own cruise missile. It'll cost you about $5,000, which is low cost. And I got into a lot of trouble because I built my own cruise missile. And I wrote this article to alert around the world, the governments to what I considered was going to be a threat. This was 20 years ago. Now, we haven't seen that threat realized. I'm glad to say that I was wrong, actually. Despite the fact this is a possibility, it just doesn't pan out. The terrorists don't use these things because there's much more effective ways to cause the kind of attacks or create the kind of attacks they want. You can use an airliner, for example, as was the case in 9/11. Or you can even use a pressure cooker. See, these guys planted 2 homemade pressure cooker bombs. So pressure cookers have claimed more lives on domestic soil in the USA as terror devices than drones have. So seriously, why are we all up in arms about drones? Why aren't we banning pressure cookers? Why aren't we tracking pressure cookers with remote ID devices? Why aren't we requiring people to license their pressure cookers and register them? This is just the hysteria. And where are we? I've got another thing here. Let's go on, because I want to look at something else that Sasha has said here. And this is her on the left. And let's just listen to what she says. Now, this is supposedly a journalist who researches her information so she can bring facts to the argument. And let's see what happens.
We wanted to have that drone, to have it go over our property to show just how beautiful our house is. Are we allowed to just buy one and shoot it up in the air?
Well, the FAA lets you buy a drone, and if it's under about 5 pounds, then you can go and have your fun. But if it's above 5 pounds, then you need to go and learn the rules, take a test, and get it registered.
Did you hear what she said? Did you hear what she said? Now, this is a supposedly fact-based journalism. Let's check the facts, shall we? To register your drone, it must be 0.55 pounds. Okay, so not 5 pounds, but half a pound. Just over half a pound is the threshold for registration and sitting the trust exam. So she's only an order of magnitude out with her facts. And that speaks to the I won't call it journalism, the kind of clickbait fake news that the mainstream media is producing here. And people watch this stuff, they believe it. And that's why the hobby's in such trouble, because why would you not believe this attractive young woman who purports to be a journalist telling us all these things? And we've had people who are supposedly ex-government employees telling us all this stuff, but that doesn't tally with reality. It doesn't tally with the facts. It doesn't tally with the evidence. The trouble is, the public don't know this. They take this, they swallow it hook, line and sinker. What do we as a community do about this? I try to raise awareness, and I challenge these people. I have actually gone onto Twitter and I've challenged this woman to, raise these issues, and I'm inviting her to respond. Come on, tell me why you got it 10 times wrong in terms of the weight threshold for registration. I don't think I'll get a response. I doubt I will, because these journalists are not interested in, journalists are not interested in the facts. They're only interested in getting eyeballs on pages so that advertisers can, they can get money out of their advertisers. I mean, all these things is sponsored links and things like this, I would think. Newsy, I don't know. I've never, what's EW Scripps brand? I'm not American. I don't know. Is this a publication of any import? They've obviously got video and printed or web-based information. So I'm sorry. This is just bullshit in my thing. And it's probably the counter-drone industry is driving this as well. We've got counter-drone experts who are saying this is a huge threat. You must buy our technology. And these people fall into the trap of believing these counter-drone technology companies. But there you go. I mean, go to the comments now. Tell me what you think. Is this acceptable? This kind of bullshit, this misinformation, this disinformation, is it really acceptable? And in the face of this, is it any wonder that our hobby is facing increasing regulation, restriction, and basically end of life, perhaps? The hobby is probably coming to the end of its life when we're faced with this kind of utter fake news. You tell me. What do we do about it? Go to the comments now. Let me know. Thank you to my Patreon supporters for making it possible for me to create these videos where I challenge the established media and their dross. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.